The 1996 HSV GTS-R, the pinnacle of 90s Australian-made muscle cars. Only 85 produced, only available in one color. A giant racing wing spoiler. A 5.7-liter stroker V8 pushing out 215 kilowatts. And a current price in the collector market that means none of us will ever own one. But in this video, we are not going to be discussing the price of these actual vehicles, but rather a piece of paper, which was in fact the beginnings of them. Let's go. Let's take something off the table straight away, which is a cliché saying that many people state in an attempt to sound intelligent or be cool, before someone states the obvious in an attempt to be clever.
Like anything, it's only worth as much as someone is prepared to pay for it.
Moving on. In 2021, clearly someone was prepared to pay over $1 million for one of these HSV GTS-R vehicles, which was in fact build number one. That's right. For if you are not aware, with every model series since HSV's beginning in 1988, all variants within each model were individually numbered by HSV upon completion. But why this price? What exactly made this GTS-R that little more desirable than any of the other 84 produced? Firstly, it is number one. Secondly, it remains as new with only 85 kilometers on the odometer and with delivery wrapping and stickers still in place. Thirdly, never registered. And fourthly, it was produced with all three available options, which includes the Holden Racing Team optimized engine. So, finding the height of Australian muscle cars from the 1990s in brand new condition is 1 in a million, literally in this case. The auction sale was conducted by Lloyd's Auctions in October 2021, with the actual sale figure exceeding $1 million unto an undisclosed exact amount. The buyer remains anonymous, and the vehicle's location is now unknown, sitting in a private collection for the viewing pleasure of the owner only. But wait, did we not mention a piece of paper? Yes, we did, and this is it. This sheet of paper is 30 years old, and what it actually is the final assembly mainline sheet for HSV GTS-R build number one. That's correct, the very same GTS-R that was sold at auction for over $1 million. This sheet is currently not with the vehicle, but belongs to a friend of a friend. But you may be asking, what is a final assembly mainline sheet? The final assembly mainline sheet, also known as a production broadcast sheet, often referred to interchangeably as a build sheet or track sheet, was a pivotal document in the mid-20th century automotive industry, particularly during the 1960s and 1970s. It served as a detailed record of the components and options selected for each vehicle during assembly, ensuring that assembly line workers installed the correct parts according to the vehicle's order. This document was crucial in an era of increasing vehicle customization, where options like power steering, specific engine types, and trim levels varied widely. These sheets were used by manufacturers such as General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, with variations in terminology. For instance, Ford called them rut sheets, Chrysler used broadcast sheets, and GM referred to them as production broadcasts or production manifests. The sheets typically listed components as codes, which could be ink stamps or paper tags, allowing workers to verify and install parts accurately. For example, a 1960s GM broadcast sheet might include codes for options like power brakes, code 2, or both power steering and brakes, code 3. The physical sheets were often discarded after assembly but sometimes left in the vehicle, hidden in locations such as under the carpet, between seat springs, behind door panels, or inside the headliner. This practice made them valuable for later verification, especially for classic car enthusiasts and restorers. Historical records show that Fisher body assembly plants used broadcast sheets since at least 1960, with forms like passenger car broadcast copy being standard through the 1965 model year, listing options in a format mirroring the original order form. Regarding former Australian vehicle manufacturer Holden, In the world of Holden enthusiasts, these sheets are coveted by historians and those that own relevant cars, especially cars from the 70s, but extending either way to the 60s and 80s. When Holden special vehicles came into existence in the late 80s, otherwise known as HSV, they began producing limited edition high-performance versions of the Holden range throughout every series until Holden's demise in 2017. HSV would submit orders to Holden, and Holden would print up the final assembly mainline sheets and attach them to the relevant base variant. For example, if HSV wanted to produce 350 Senator variants, then Holden would attach the final assembly mainline sheets to 350 of their Calais variants to make known to assembly line personnel to add or leave off items that would make it more adaptable for HSV to produce their Senator variant. Calais being the Holden luxury variant and the Senator being HSV's. As for this particular final assembly mainline sheet, this is the original Holden production broadcast sheet for the HSV 1996 VS GTS-R build number 1, which was printed in 1996 by Holden upon HSV's vehicle order of AVS Commodore specifically for one of HSV's new GTS-R builds, later to be plated as number 1 upon completion. This sheet was the initial and formal start of GTS-R build number 1 and would have been attached to the body as it made its way along the Holden assembly line. This sheet, as with all such sheets for HSV orders, was left inside the finished product at the end of Holden's vehicle assembly line and went with the vehicle when it was relocated to the HSV facility for final transformation into a GTS-R. The odds are against these sheets being preserved for several reasons. Firstly, only 85 VS GTS were built, which means that only 85 of these mainline sheets were printed. Most Holden build sheets were discarded once a vehicle was finalized by HSV. Only about 50 VS GTS are accounted for as of 2024. This particular build sheet is one of about 6 to survive or remaining. This sheet provides details not only about GTS-R build number 1, but also much general information about all GTS-R builds. As a side note, sometimes HSV, in their excitement for the customers they were building vehicles for, they would leave nice little messages on the build sheets for the owners to find in the future if they were to ever have the backseat out and found it. Okay, now, to back up a little, we did state that build number 1 was plated as number 1 upon completion. We state this due to the build numbers of all GTS-R vehicles not actually coinciding chronologically with their V numbers. This is much like all HSV variants within each model since their beginnings in 1988. To further explain, for example, HSV may order the initial 20 vehicles from Holden, and they would be all delivered at the same time. HSV would not necessarily then take the vehicle with the lowest serial number Ving, but may simply take the easiest available as they were taken off the delivery trucks. In other words, there may be a sequential difference between Holden manufacturing the vehicles regarding Ving numbers and HSV producing their variant of those vehicles regarding HSV build numbers. With GTS-R build number 1, available records show that there are at least 3 others that have lowest serial number Vings. So number 1 was not the first or earliest Ving plated body from Holden out of the required number of bodies for HSV to produce GTS-Rs, but was still the first completed. However, there is an exception to all, a wild card. Little known is that there actually is another VS GTS-R in addition to the official 85 built, one unaccounted for, which was a prototype, the promotional and press review car, which actually was build number 000. Technically and literally, it is not number 1, but was still the first built, and it obviously was also the first or earliest Ving plated body from Holden. GTS-R 000 was produced in early February 1996 and immediately began media duties, with multiple national magazine covers and all of the HSV print media ads. It was also the media test car, which means it acquired plenty of wear and tear in kilometers. 000's final official role for HSV was as the wheels giveaway car for subscribers. It was won in July 1996 by someone in Western Australia who picked it up from Brian Gardner Motors. Fast forward to 2002, and Lahoud Motors in Sydney has 000 for sale and is purchased by David Bowden from Bowden's Own. After 10 plus years of ownership, the Bowden family decided to move the vehicle to new ownership. Now the strange part. The final assembly mainline sheet for GTS-R number 000 appears to still exist. However, in 2022 the sheet was attached to a GTS-R replica as part of the vehicle's sale. The replica was being sold out of South Australia, and how the final assembly mainline sheet for build 000 came to be with it is unknown. More investigation is required to resolve this mystery. However, whoever currently owns 000 would surely be interested in acquiring the sheet to reignite it with the vehicle. And while we are on a roll, there is one more lingering question we should address, being the taxi conundrum. These final assembly mainline sheets may be able to assist with the biggest mystery surrounding the GTS-R, which is, were they actually produced from excessive VS vehicle bodies, left over from an over-order of taxis? That is correct. A taxi turned into HSV's highest performance 90s monster. Let's have a look. Given the denial by HSV insiders and lack of supporting evidence in reputable sources, it seems the GTS-R was not produced from leftover taxi bodies. The yellow color used for both likely contributed to the rumor, but was the color identical? They definitely had different names, as the yellow used on the GTS-R was called XU3 yellow, while the yellow on the taxis was simply called Victorian Taxi Yellow. One argument for identical paint comes from a 2018 article from whichcar.com.au, in which Motor states, the HSV GTS-R color, called XU3 yellow, was the same shade as the yellow decree for Victoria's taxi fleet around the same time, end quote. Contrarily, one argument for not identical paint comes from a 2022 article from drive.com.au, which states, while XU3 yellow was noted for being similar to the color of Melbourne's taxis at the time, it is where the similarities begin and end. End quote. A 2017 article from carsales.com.au mentions the outlandish hue and rumors of using unsold taxi bodies, denied by HSV insider Marty Watt, but does not directly address paint exactness. What is known as the GTS-R yellow XU3 yellow paint code was D131, as documented on the final assembly mainline sheets. However, with no known sheets remaining for VS taxis, a comparison is not possible. It is likely that the VS GTS-R and the VS taxi have the same identical yellow, regardless of names and codes. Furthermore, yellow was not available in the general VS Commodore range in either the Series 1 or 2, so it was produced for the taxi variant specifically. It is highly likely that HSV did not take advantage of leftover taxi bodies, but rather took advantage of the exclusive color to make the GTS-R more distinguished. Also, Holden made the base bodies of their models in large numbers, but did not paint them custom colors for specific clientele in hopes of selling them. This would be a foolish way to run a company. Now back to the final assembly mainline sheet for GTS-R number 1. The question is, what is this 30-year-old piece of paper worth? There are potentially several groups that would be interested in buying this piece of paper. Obviously, the current owner of number 1 would likely be interested. And if he spent over $1 million for the actual vehicle, then what would the pre-birth certificate be worth to him? Then there are HSV collectors, then general Holden collectors and enthusiasts, and possibly general Australian automotive collectors and historians. Each group would likely have a different amount in mind as to what this piece of paper is worth. The sheet is mounted in a modern stunning frame, sandwiched between two pieces of 3mm clear acrylic panels. These acrylic panels are laser cut from cast acrylic sheet, which gives great optical clarity. All edges are polished. Panel size, 377 by 500mm, 35mm border. Comes with mounting screws and plugs, with instructions. In addition to the final assembly mainline sheet, is a Collector's Series Authenticity Pack. This official HSV pack consists of an authenticity certificate for GTS-R number 1, beautifully presented and housed in an HSV embossed black leather compendium. The HSV authenticity certificate confirms that the Ving, as per the Holden production broadcast sheet, is a genuine HSV produced vehicle. Also included is the specification sheet, several pages detailing the full specifications of GTS-R number 1. For example, engine, interior, exterior, wheels, options, entertainment. Lastly, included is a signed letter containing information about GTS-R number 1 and provides the statistics about that model. And as GTS-R number 1 was originally sold as City Holden in Adelaide, included is a set of original 90s dealership number plate surrounds, along with an original City Holden glove box owner's manual vinyl wallet folder. And, as per the accessories, currently with GTS-R number 1, also included is an original HSV Mobile 1 folder and a Holden Calais Versa Series owner's handbook manual from January 1996, along with an original Wheels magazine. Secondary items also included are the following: reproduction HSV GTS-R build plate, made to exact specifications, blank, for novelty purposes only. Reproduction images of the 1996 Vehicle Owner Compendium, including vehicle certificate, congratulations letter, vehicle specifications, and images of accessories. Reproduction images of optimized engine specifications and performance. 1996 GTS-R production images. Media release information and production correspondence. Media release photos and other photos. Also included is an original Street Machine magazine with a feature article on the GTS-R. Lastly, included is an extensive spreadsheet list of most known remaining GTS-Rs, including individual Holden mainline information, production dates, body tag information, HSV build plate information, options, dealers and sellers and dates and prices, license plates throughout lifetime, and last known odometer readings. Note: no individual personal information is presented in the spreadsheet. Let us know in the comments if you think the final assembly mainline sheet for HSV GTS-R build number 1 is worth anything, and how much would you ask for the entire packages just mentioned. Side note, the person that owns this sheet also owns a sheet for GTS-R number 6, which is currently registered in Western Australia. So, if they are out there somewhere listening, now they know. Let us know if you have a production broadcast sheet or final assembly mainline sheet for your vehicle. And do not forget to hit like and subscribe if you agree that raisins nor any fruit should be cooked in stews.